can't deny. Big men, big moves, earth shaking grow. Why sumo? Tell me why you're doing sumo. Is it power?
Hello, and welcome to Maximum Effort Studios. Why Sumo? I guess online, and whatever. Either which way, I am honored to have someone I've been talking to online for a second, especially while I was in your neck of the woods in the East Coast. But go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Dan Douglas. I am the Vice President of New York Sumo Club, and I am also the guy that runs Mountain Mawashi, the custom dyed mawashi service. On Instagram, you can find me, and you'll probably seen a couple of the brightly colored belts, either at nationals or some of the local tournaments, as well as two of the wrestlers that I sponsored. Edward Canyeja wears a belt that I dyed for him, and Hardiman wears a belt that I dyed for her as well.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. I do have to say about the dyeing of the belts. I am partially colorblind, so I always have an issue with separating different hues and such. So just to hear somebody break down their colors, I'm pretty sure this is where me and Mencken are just kind of, we just shoot from the hip and we're talking, and I was like, oh look, Ed got a mawashi the same color as his skin. That definitely felt like it was the right thing. But can we talk about the color of his mawashi and the concept of like how you walked him through?
Yeah, I reached out to Edward. I actually met him before I started this whole thing. I met him during, I think it was Club Sumo 3 that WCS put on that he performed at. I think he made it to the semifinals for that one. And just met, briefly talked. I'd seen a whole bunch of his stuff online. He's very prolific when it comes to posting sumo content, especially on his YouTube page. And I was kind of struck by him because he was just, he has a very unique look to him. He's very confident. He's very flexible. He has a unique style of sumo. And I reached out to him when I started dyeing mawashi. And I was just like, business has been a little bit slow, or I've had a couple sales, and I was like, I want to kind of put, my name out there and make this more popular. And I reached out to Edo and I said, hey, I would like to dye you a mawashi. And he reached out back to me, and we talked a little bit, and he said that he wanted a deep maroon mawashi. We went back and forth about why he wanted that. I love hearing people's stories about why they want a specific color. Sumo is this, it's a very personal thing. It's a 1v1 combat sport. It is, and the rule set for sumo is so simple that it means that there's a lot of different ways that you can achieve victory. And so how people's preferred styles work out means that it's very personal. There's brand of sumo when you hear wrestlers talking about their brand of sumo. And I really only ever saw black or white belts or some, home done DIY belts that people were wearing. And I was like, I want to dye my own belt. And so coming from a background in engineering, I was just like, I think I can figure this out. I was like, I can figure this out, and I want to record the process and make it available to others. And since I was happy enough with the product, I decided to be like, well, hey, is there some way I can do this as a hobby and break even on helping people express themselves with their style of sumo? Edibor, he said he wanted the deep maroon color because it was a play on red, and red has very specific connotations, both for him personally and in its imagery of strength, power. And he felt that deep maroon, that just subtle hint of red, almost black, was a play with the symbolism of red, where he was trying to make it this subtle strength, this subtle power. And I really liked hearing that story. And I think it fits his style of sumo very well. You know, it's something that you don't expect. You don't expect someone to just drop, you know, ass to ankles and end up throwing somebody 3 times the size. It just doesn't. It's just not like something you can process or prepare for. And I actually do have the samples that I have left over from his belt, right here. So very, very almost black. You can see it a little bit more there in the light. That's that subtle touch of red in the maroon. So
nice.
Yeah.
So do you so I've seen pictures of your mawashis done before you send them out. Are you you're putting mountain on there, like, so the kanji of mountain, but is it a stitch? Is it a marker? What is that?
Right now, I hand paint those on with fabric paint.
Mm.
My goal is to eventually embroider them on, but it's a little bit difficult for me to do that. I think I've also considered heat press, like a heat press vinyl fabric sticker, I guess it is. But for now, I kind of like the hand touch. Every single logo that I draw is a little bit unique, and that kind of plays back into the uniqueness of it. I also, a few wrestlers have asked me to paint their shikona, if they have a shikona, or just their name on the inside of their mawashi. And that's been fun too.
I like that a lot, because that's as personal as it gets. That's not for anyone else but for that sumo wrestler. At no point in time does anybody else see that. Maybe not even the person tying the mawashi, which is
No. In fact, like I kind of picked some of that up when I was doing research on mawashi, when I was trying to figure out like what these do. You know, you get a little bit of sideways facts in there, you know, stuff that leaks in. And I found that even some wrestlers will put their tegata, they will ink their handprint onto the interior fold of their mawashi. It's a little bit of an exercise in ego, but if you're the top divisions, I mean, why not?
yeah.
That's not something I've done, though I do think it'd be kind of fun to do. And some wrestlers also will fold in charms or, you know, totems into their belt.
Right.
And I haven't heard of anyone doing that with their belt, but I do include that information in the little packet that I submit for folks, or that I give folks when they get a belt.
I've seen your DIY system that you put out there for people of how to dye. I think that was the first time I saw anything from you. I was like, oh, this is extremely detailed, and it got down to the weight and the gravity of the mawashi, and like I've and now hearing that you're an engineering background, it all makes sense. Because let me tell you something. As a club that has dyed, uh, we've dyed one mawashi officially, but you know, it's like I just say, you guys do that. I don't know. Make it green like a turtle. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And go to Joanne's and they did it right. And it was a pretty dope dye, but you know, there's something to the precision that you were able to show.
Well, and as I was figuring that out, it was all trial and error. The first belt that I dyed was actually my own, and you see, I'm very happy with the color, but it has some of those telltale signs of a DIY belt. You know, you see this, you know, the little bit of color inconsistency, and especially this is the hardest part. Is this? You know, you see that?
Yeah.
I got to a point where I was able to get the outside fairly consistent, but then you end up with some weirdness going on the inside, and I wasn't happy with that. And so I was like, well, how would I do it differently if I did it again? And again, I got to a point where I actually have a sample here from AJ, or Angelo Lizardi, as he was called, on the at Nationals. This is a sample from his belt. So again, the same thing. Uniformity of color. And now the interior. This is literally the first and the last belts that I've dyed.
Rock solid. Wow. The consistency is amazing.
Yeah, and what's nice about that too is it's longevity of the belt.
Mm.
Um, you can wear the same belt 4 different ways if you're able to get that kind of consistency, and it means that you'll have it for a long time. But and like that's not trade secret. So much of what I found was through open source, or I just pieced it together. I saw what some other people had done, and it's all available. Like how I do that is all available online through that wiki that I made. There's a few things that take a little bit more subtlety to it, like actually matching the color, and like I think the some of the things that's honestly the hardest to do is compensating for the natural yellow color of the canvas, and that's usually when you do that when you need to do anything that's blues so that they don't shift green, or any of the lighter colors. The lighter colors are really hard to match because that yellow will really kind of shine through. Light blues are the hardest by far.
So when you're doing those colors, how do you start knowing that you're going to run into those difficulties?
It was more so something that I discovered. I didn't think about that. If you've ever soaked a mawashi, I think I first started trying to figure out how to soak or how to soften the belt because they come pretty tough,
Mm-hmm.
pretty stiff, and that's something that the dyeing process actually does take out of it. It takes the like the cardboardy kind of texture to it.
Yeah.
It takes that out of it because you're effectively boiling the mawashi in the dye solution with the salt and all of that for almost up to an hour in some cases, and it takes a lot of that out of it.
That makes sense. I have a mawashi that was dyed in Japan that I purchased from Takeshi maybe like 5 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. And
Yeah,
it's the one that I use for competition. But
yeah,
when I got it, it is soft.
it's
It
soft.
is like really soft. And
Yeah,
I'm used to the black mawashi, nice, like very sturdy. And that's transitioned to more of my like I'm in the club training mawashi, right? That's more or less that's became. But
yeah,
the other one is so like it's accustomed to my body and wrapped around,
mhm.
and it is consistent all the way through. It is starting to fade because I've been rocking that bad boy for like 5 years in
Yeah.
tournaments.
They all will fade. Like even the black ones you see, especially the pros wearing, they wear them so frequently. They turn gray very quickly.
Yeah.
Um, what I do include in the little packet that I send out, the dye formula that I used, so that if you want to freshen it up at some point in the future, you can, or you can send it back to me, and I'll just charge you the dyeing fee, not the actual full new mawashi fee. So,
Mm.
um, but I've had people wearing belts like this belt is still this color after wearing it nearly a year now. Um,
Right.
Now I will say washing the belt will make the color come through a lot, come out a lot quicker, but
Mm.
not too many people are washing their mawashi.
Yeah, you're in New York, so after like a heavy training session, maybe it's like I don't know, humid or whatever.
Mhm.
Have you washed your mawashi, or are you one of the like air dry, only put in the sun kind of guys?
I'm going to catch a little bit of flack from this. I have washed my mawashi. I wear mine cheeks out,
Hmm.
and it 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 makes me feel better.
Yeah, that's
um,
fine.
not to make light of what's going on either, but it's a hygiene, it's a health concern.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to use someone's misfortune as a talking point, but there was a wrestler that passed away just recently from a terrible form of gangrene. Uh,
Mm,
do not look that up. It is not a fun thing to look up, and it's just a hygiene concern. They go. I mean, bacteria lives in fabric.
yes.
If you're
Yeah.
going to be wearing it natural or wearing it the way that you're supposed to wear mawashi, it makes sense to clean it. Um, in the safety packet that I put in, I say, I give all of the qualifications of you are never, ever, 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 ever supposed to wash it. You can spot wash it. So if you just want to spot wash the part that touches all the important stuff, that's fine. But you are allowed to spot wash it if you get like a blood stain or something on your training mawashi.
I do think that the washing of the mawashi is polarizing, but it's in a weird way because I've seen pros wash mawashi, like
Mhm.
they scrub them
Yeah.
and they scrub them clean. You're throwing people onto clay, right? Like you have to. There is a wash to it. I think that if it was a silk mawashi, you might have a different like protocol and that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with a clean mawashi. There's nothing wrong. The first time that I washed my mawashi after a competition, I went to the Consulate's Cup. It was Texas. It was super hot,
Hmm.
sticky, gross.
Was it
Just that.
outdoors?
Yes, it was at Dreamland. It was covered, but it didn't matter. Afterwards, I swear the Mawashi picked up a like it tripled in weight. And I was like, I'm not dealing with this. So I threw it into the washer, let that bad boy spin, and then I even dried it. I was like, I don't care. I gotta put it back in the plane. I gotta go. Let me tell you something. I don't regret that. And as a person that has, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 mawashis that I have as loaners,
Yeah.
every single one of those get washed in the washer. I might hang dry them. I
Yeah.
usually dry them in the dryer because guess what? Convenience.
Yes. I will say so. I don't have a washer and dryer. Joys of New York
Scrubbing.
City living. So I hand wash. I hand wash mine. I scrub it if needed. But I will say, like, the way that when they're talking about, oh, well, they don't wash their washi. They also lay them out in the sun. UV does have an effect on bacteria and things like that. It's not perfect, but it's something. But yeah, I don't think that there's anything wrong with washing a washi, especially if it's like, you know, just from the sumo ambassador perspective of things.
Mhm.
Like, you don't want to be saying, hey, first you have to wear this, belt that you might consider to be embarrassing, that will grow in
Mhm.
time. But thank you for trying that. Oh, by the way, it hasn't been washed. That's a
Yeah.
huge, like,
Yeah.
that's a huge thing. Um, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
we've washed our club mawashi on occasion too, just to make sure that that's. Mm-mm.
Of course. The
Yeah,
last thing you want is somebody to pick up MRSA, staph, or
yeah,
ringworm, or any of those things in any of those areas. Like
yeah.
that's no bueno. Um, I I've washed I've dyed some like loner mawashis, like
Mhm.
the ugliest shade of any color ever. It has to be like a weird green blue thing, but I
Mhm.
made sure that they're hideous.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I've ran multiple tournaments, and for some reason, people will walk away with your mawashis.
Oh yeah.
So I need to make sure that I can spot them from a mile away, and so an ugly dye job will show up.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
do have uh, one of my students, and it was a little girl. She bought a mawashi, one of the kid ones,
Mhm.
which is way thinner. It's made for like actual elementary school children.
Yeah.
That she dyed it, and I was like, "Oh, go for it. It's all good. Go, like do your thing, have fun." It is a little tie dye. If you squint, you're gonna be like, "Oh, it's tie dye."
Is this
I
the young
ne-
woman wearing the green belt that was at nationals or no?
no, I think it's like a red and orange kind of tie dye thing. So it's
Oh,
all like right around. It looks. I think they said it was like a fall color kind of look to it, and it
yeah.
almost had like a marble to it. I'll make sure to take a photo and send it to you. But I one of the guys were like, "Oh, now she won't be able to compete." It's like I'm not gonna stop a kid
No.
from doing sumo. Like
No.
I don't care. Also, if you have a tie dye mawashi, so what? I've seen people with weird material mawashis, and I'm kind of like a little bit of a mawashi snob. But on the world stage, you'll see weird things. You'll see weird things. Like I'm gonna just say the country's name that had the weirdest one. It was Finland. Finland had this like thin material, and when I say it felt like a sheet, I literally mean it felt like a sheet. It was weird.
Hmm.
Not sure. I know that everybody deals with supply issues with the mawashis, but I
Yeah.
think that that's something that as a community of sumo wrestlers around the world, we're gonna have to really figure out.
You know, like, um, that's part of the reason why I made that wiki was I wanted people to have access to the resources that I had, at least within the U.S. There's only so much you can do outside of the U.S. I've had a few people from like New Zealand or Canada ask me about some of the DIY belts, um, but like, and they're good, they're solid, they're great for practice. I mean, you could even get away with wearing them in competition, like it's fine. But I wanted people to have access to like, hey, how do I get solid belts? Because that's kind of that's a bit of an impediment. They're so expensive for people starting out. If you just have you and a friend that want to try sumo, that's $260 for
Yeah,
say sumo. That's expensive. Like, who's got
very
260 bucks
expensive.
to throw away on a hobby? Yeah, the part of the wiki that I included was like, hey, you can buy 12 yards of of this canvas. This is 120, and you can make 8 belts out of it. For a whole $115, you can have 4 times the number of belts that you can get if you purchase the legit 100% official ones. I was at one point manufacturing my own mawashi. I've actually sold a few of the ones that I manufactured, but I kind of like did some cost benefit, and I was like I'm happy with the quality of these,
Mhm.
but for my time, it doesn't make sense for me to continue manufacturing them.
That
So
makes sense.
yeah,
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our silent auction. Just kidding. This isn't the actual silent auction, but this is an item that you can win from the silent auction. Please go ahead and join it if you would like. If not, you can go to our GoFundMe. Both are available on our Instagram. Thank you. Our Instagram is Honu Sumo. You can also go to honusumoclub.com to follow for more.
I can speak to you forever. We're running a little long. I'm
yeah,
having a lot of fun, and I'm basically bridging the gaps that from our text messages back and forth. I'm like, oh, let me just like connect this, connect this, connect this. But I do want to circle back and talk to you about dyeing mawashis one more time.
oh sure.
So we are going to partner up for our Christina, what's it called? My brain stopped working. Silent auction. There it
Sound
is.
off. Yeah.
Silent auction. My wife helps me when my brain just fizzles out. So we have our silent auction. Last year we dyed a mawashi, and it was pretty good.
Yeah,
I think it turned out pretty well.
yeah,
But
turtle green.
man, if you can get Dan the man, the mountain man, to go ahead and dye mawashi, I mean, for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
And immediately once I was like, our quote unquote mascot is a turtle that
Hmm.
may look like he was a ninja, but he definitely is a sumo wrestler. No trademark there at all. And he is definitely red and angry,
Yes.
and grizzled. So, so can we talk about how you process to figure out like the color for it?
Yes. So I don't know if I can do a screen share on here, but I can do that. But just a you gave me the inspiration of this character. Um, I took the opportunity and I looked up a couple images. I wanted to find something that had a very consistent color, something that was recent. I didn't want to be drawn from the very cursed like 2004 Turtles one. I think I ended up pulling from a more recent adaptation, and I found just an image like from some marketing material or something like that. If a customer provides that, like if they have a specific image in mind, they're like this purple, like I can tag that. An example was Hardiman, the belt that she wears. She wanted to be the same purple as the Hulk's shorts. So, because she's gone by Hulkaman or Hulk Hardiman before, and so I matched the purple from an image that she provided me of the Hulk shorts. So I found that image and I pulled something because the way that the lighting in that specific photo worked is you want to find a good sample to compare it against. And I pulled something, I think, from the brow on a bandana of some reptile or amphibian. I can't remember exactly what turtles are. And using that sample, there was kind of a blend of colors in there. This is from a different belt, but it honestly is showing up kind of red here, which is pretty good. This is an orange. This is from Josh's belt. Josh was the heavyweight that I ended up having to wrestle in open weight. So I don't know if I can block that out. So this is it's showing up very similarly, but in person it's a bit more orange. So it came through, and it was, I think, it was a brighter red. It had some strong orange undertones, and honestly a little bit of purple undertones. That's something that's like, I try to communicate the undertones. That was actually feedback that Edo gave me. He wasn't expecting there to be so much purple in there, even though we confirmed samples and everything like that, and he'd seen them. There is a slight purple tint to these that he wasn't quite expecting. These are all of the darker ones that he ended up not selecting.
Right.
So I like to communicate what undertones I see in there, so that's how I can try and match the color as closely as possible. From there, I actually take some sample canvas from when I was still manufacturing my own. I still have a couple reams of it. This is the same canvas as you would see this is made out of, the actual belt itself. So it's the article of how you're going to figure out how that color works and how that particular dye bath works for your for the color that you chose. And then you see that they're marked 15 through 90 at about 15-minute intervals. I don't know. I don't think it's mirrored, so you should be able to read it.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just keep them in the dye bath. I make the dye bath just like I would make it, usually at a smaller sample, just in case. And from there, I pull them out when they're ready. And the idea of that is some colors, it's difficult to get exact. You have to rely on the time in the dye bath to actually get your target. That was the case with Edibor's belt, for example. We ended up deciding on a lighter shade because there was just nothing that was visually represented as that dark, and we just left it in for an extreme amount of time. You want to alternate the time rather than the concentration of the dye bath, because the higher the concentration of the dye bath, the more likely you are to get marbling, like on this belt. So
Right.
you don't want to see this.
That's why the marbling happens. Okay, that makes sense.
So if you go through the wiki, I actually talk about why I dye by volume of the water of the dye bath rather than the weight, because conventional wisdom when it comes to dyeing fabrics by weight would say that you need an absurd quantity of dye and a shorter dye bath, but that's not the case for these fabrics because they are so dense, because they are so thick. You can't dye them that way because it's surface area. It comes down to how much surface area is available for the dye to get into. So you end up dyeing by volume instead of by that, and that's why you adjust for time to get the higher concentrations that you need.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All good. So just so everybody knows, we will have a mawashi in the near future, and the proceeds of the mawashi will go to getting our kids to Worlds, which is, it's expensive. It's expensive. Oh my goodness. I had too many kids win, and we have so many going.
How many kids? I mean, I want to hear about the success of y'all's youth program too.
We have, I think we got Mikey, we have Rosie, Melody, we have Sammy. So that's four. That's four. We have four. So I'm really stressed out about it.
Oh my God.
The goal is also that that we will have a chaperone with them, because they're kids going to a foreign country. And of course, we would also pay for their accommodations in their flight. So those numbers add up really, really fast.
Yeah, well, y'all are fortunate that you're already in a city with an international airport on that side of the world ish, but still, it's gonna be pricey. But yeah, so y'all are providing the mawashi and the shipping to get it here, and I'm providing the dyeing and the shipping to get it back, and I'm very happy to be able to assist. It was nice to kind of link up at Nationals and make sure that happened. I think we talked right as everyone was crowding out. I'm like, hey, I know y'all dyed this, and I'm glad that we're going to be able to make something work. That'll be good.
I'm really excited about this. And with that, let's go ahead and wrap it up because, again, you're one of those people I can just keep talking to. I just want to find out more. And that's one of the beautiful things about the sumo community. We're surrounded by awesome people everywhere. And, like that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
A sumo hang at the end of the tournament is definitely a good thing. And just one last part. I definitely want to give a shout out for you won the fighting spirit, correct?
I won the outstanding performance.
Outstanding performance. That's what's up. And your first nationals, and you get that. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Thank you very much. I was honored to receive it. I think more than my sumo necessarily what might have come into that decision was I volunteered my cousin to be helping with the check-in and the handing out of things, and we were trying to help Justin as much as we could while we were there, and it was just nice to meet everybody. I'm happy with how I performed too, but
you kick butt, dude. You kick butt. Let me tell you, my first national, like everybody's first nationals, you're like, man, there's something that you're like, I wish I could have done this better, and it's like, you did great, especially in heavyweight division. There are no easy matches.
No, I went 0-2 in heavyweight. I was 0-2 and out, but I'll take for granted, or I'll give myself a little bit of a pat on the back. My first opponent was Jamie. I think he was the heaviest guy in the division, except maybe for Caleb. And
he cracks.
Yeah, and then in the losers bracket, I had the unfortunate pleasure of running up against Dominus, and I think he gave me a shiner. And, a couple other things that I've got as a souvenir. But I think Jamie gave me the longest lasting souvenir. I'm pretty sure I've got a cracked rib on my right side.
Those live with you forever. not really. But, like, the memory of it does.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Every time you sneeze, every time you poop, every time you squat.
Why does that hurt? Oh, right.
And then one day it's just gone and you're like, whew, hopefully that never happens again.
Literally breathe a sigh of relief. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been so nice speaking to you too, JJ. And it was so nice talking with Christina as well. We got a chance to kind of gab a little bit during the meeting, and she and my wife talked a whole bunch too. And it was so nice meeting y'all, and thank you for having me on. And I'm glad we can we can help sponsor some kids to get to Thailand. To Thailand,
yeah. Awesome. All right, and with that, good night, everybody, and keep on keeping on.
All righty.
Why sumo? Tell me why you're doing sumo. Is it power, pride, or show? Why sumo? Every push, every throw, then you're stealing the show.